Hey, K1GMM Steve. The Hack in the Shack. Maniac is back. And I'm just going to do a real quickie. This is kind of an addendum in addition to the long stream, which wasn't supposed to be that long last night, regarding trying to get a DSP filtering system applied to the front end of the 7300s from an audio standpoint. See if we can make it nicer to listen to. And I got an email from someone who was watching, who immediately jumped on it, who started installing the software and started to get it running. He had a problem getting certain things running on it, from what I understand. I'd have to see it to be able to diagnose what the problem is, but I figured the best way to do this is to just do a dedicated video showing you exactly the settings. Installing all the stuff should be a piece of cake, but getting the settings set the way they should be, I'll give you the starting points and you can go from there. But I figured I'd do that, and I'll just give you, and you can stop the video. The purpose of this is to stop the video and look at the settings I have, and then look at what you've got going to make sure everything's ticked off in the boxes. So let me get over the pan adapter. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this screen up, and this is the area you need to look at. So you need to go all through this madness. So we got, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open it up full screen so you can see exactly what's going on. Because this is the way a lot of you guys, I don't think you're going to be running it collapse. So if you see everything here, there you go. All right. So I got my track 1, track 2. Okay. Ignore track 1. Ignore this. This is for my audio going to the anon, actually going to the stream and the video. Okay. But this is track 2 is for the radio. So once you get your track set up and you have a meter happening on the radio, on the signal from the radio. So if I click this.
Problem, and the workforce is not being utilized. And all
so you can hear the station working in there. When you click that and make sure that this input echo is on, make sure that's ticked on. You can either do it there or you can do it down here. Okay. And that's ticked on and the mute is off, you should see that meter moving. If it's not moving, that means you don't have the input set. You don't have that channel strip set to look for the input, the audio coming from the radio. So that could be the first problem. You want to make sure when you load your effects in, make sure you hit this. Okay, if that is off, your effects aren't going to be active. All right, so make sure that's on. Every one of these has one of these power buttons on it. Okay, I can go ahead and shut this. Yeah, I don't need the metronome. I don't need this either. Okay, so now that you have a chance to look, and you can go ahead and mute the audio while I'm doing this. Don't even listen to me talk. Just go through all your settings. So one key thing I wanted you to notice is that if you have, when you're trying, and this is the problem I think that operator was having, can't remember his name, I have his email. He said he couldn't get the compressor and the EQ to work. They weren't active. Most likely the reason why they're not active, make sure you have track 2, whatever track you want to apply these to, highlighted, okay? You'll see a button, and this is called the Pro Channel panel. This is the panel for the Pro Channel, okay? At the very top, you'll see this. And by default, I believe it's like this. This is what you're going to see. So if you want to get the Pro Channel, all this stuff running, you got to hit this. And you'll notice this blank box here. If this button, this global on off, is off, none of this will work. Even though these buttons are enabled. See how they're orange? That means they're enabled. So if this main button, this is the global, this controls this entire panel. So if you want to turn on or shut down the entire panel, this is the way to do it. That has to be on, okay, for all of this to work. So you can go down through and you can look at my settings on the compressor. And you can look at all the EQ settings, frequencies, the bandwidth, Q, and the drive levels, the gain. Okay. So now if we go to, so you can, like I said, you can stop this video. Just stop it and compare notes. This is what this is for. So let's go over to the denoiser. So this is the denoiser. And by the way, this is the order you want them in. You want denoiser first, the equalizer, and then the gate. And if they're out of order, you can just literally click it, left click and hold and drag it. And drag it like straight up and move them around in the order. Okay, so let's get back to the denoiser. Okay, what I did was you're going to want the high and low shelves activated. Okay, I did not have the low shelf activated, but I found that it works better with this on. And these are the settings for the denoiser. This is the only control I pretty much fuss with. Once I get these set to where you'll notice that the high end will drop off and you'll lose articulation. So I tried to find a balance between articulation and noise reduction. And I will move this occasionally. If it's a very quiet band, you can run it hotter. In other words, you can wind this up like this, and you'll notice that the frequencies all change across the top. And you'll hear it get sharper. There'll be more clarity will come in. And when you roll this back, it'll almost, if you roll it way back, it'll become very muffled, but the hiss and all the static crash and everything will be suppressed quite a bit. You may be able to compensate that through the EQ over here or through the equalizer you have in the effects chain. So this is the critical one. And play with this. This takes a lot of time. I've got hours into this, trying to get it dialed in where it's working, and it's working to my satisfaction, which is a radical improvement. Because if you bypass the effects rack and you bypass this and listen to the raw audio coming out of the radio, holy crap, yeah, it's a major improvement. Major. So that's the denoiser. This is the EQ setting. So I'll show you this. And I'll leave this here for a minute. Now you can left click and you can drag these up and down and back and forth, and it will change what frequency they're affecting. This is the Q. This is how broad of a frequency it will affect inside and outside of the center frequency. So let's say number 5, this is set at 4308 or 4808, I can't see it. Let's say this is 4000 hertz. You can move this, you just hover your mouse over it and roll your mouse wheel, and it will expand or contract that width that you're boosting or cutting. What I do is I have 5 and 6 in here set, and you can see that the Q is 2 on 5 and 0.3 on 6. And what that does is I want to roll off all of the unnecessary high end that's coming through. So this is starting to roll off probably around 2.5K, and it's starting to really roll off at 3K. Because remember, I'm going to be using this for DXing and contesting. This is not a rag chew system. Even though I did use it this morning, and it was pretty nice on the 7300. It was just very quiet and very controlled. So and I was listening to a station that was a little weaker. There were one station that was like 30 over, the other one was like a 10 over. So it did work very well. Okay, so this is the EQ. Go down through here and look at that. Going down to the gate. This is the bread and butter. One thing about the gate, I run the hysteresis up at 0 dB. This is the one you're going to have to play with, the release time. And this gate will be affected by this, the compressor over here, compressor limiter. If you change this, it will change this. So it's going to take some time to get used to it. If you want to hear what it sounds like without the gate engaged, you can just grab this. You can either click here and hit this button, the bypass, and it will take it out of line. All right, it'll shut it off. Or I tend to leave this open all the time. Or you can take this, the dry, and you can bump this up. And what this does is it brings in the raw signal. And the gate's still there, but the raw signal is coming through at equal volume. So you can kind of tell. This is a nice feature because if the gate gets a little choppy, and it's hard to control if you get like really severe static crashing, you can bring this up a little bit. So it's not, the choppiness isn't as bad. That's where that comes in handy. You will get increased noise in the dead zone between overs, but it does help. Leave the noise alone. I don't mess with that. That's a disaster. So that's the gate. All right. Anytime you see this right here, see these two red dots, that's a clip. You really don't want it to clip. You want to keep it like between -3 and -10 dB. So there you go. And of course, if you scroll up, you've got your gain controls. Don't forget about the gain controls on each channel. And I just noticed that was off. So, that's probably, global. I bet my EQ isn't even running. I'm going to have to check that right now. I just noticed my global's off. Don't forget to check your globals because nothing below it will work. So let me get this up and running, and I will kick this. Yes. There we go. All right. So it looks like I foobarred that. I forgot that. I was like, why isn't the EQ working? I noticed it wasn't working, but we'll shut that back off. I'll deal with that later. Make sure your global's around, folks. This is why I do this stuff, because even I make mistakes. You know how I roll. All of these areas, to get them running, you have to make sure the global is on. All the way at the very top, otherwise it's not going to do anything. And you should see this. This is basically a connection symbol. If you see that lit up, that means it's running. It's on. If you see, my gate's getting a little weird. If you see this, if you see this, if you see this like that, it's not on. It's not running. So there you go. All right. I think that's pretty much everything. So you can take a look around, make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. And there you go, man. I am trying to figure out, I'm not sure how to do this, but I'd love to get rid of this, the recording panel. Just get rid of this altogether, and then this is all customizable, and I haven't gotten there yet. So you guys, I'm sure, will figure that out. It'd be nice to just have these two things and the master. That's it. And the Pro channel active, because that's the kill box. Gives you all access to all your plugins at the click of a mouse, and your Pro Channel settings are all right there. So there you go. I am going to say 7-3. Have a great day, and we will catch you all later. Figured I just anything that can help, right? Maybe it's a help, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a not. Maybe it's snot. We'll see ya. Have a good one. The Maniac.